wait. Let me get some business out of the way real quick, if you don't mind. Spotify just started this new thing. So our host Anchor is owned by Spotify, and so they just created this thing where you can subscribe via Spotify or via a link in our on our page at anchor.com.
Okay.
Sorry, anchor.fm/Tig Show. There's a button there that says subscribe, or you can do it through the Spotify app. And I think I'm going to be able to give subscribers the podcast audio version up to 5 days early, kind of like the Patreon. But if they don't want to join Patreon, they can get it directly through Spotify by subscribing. It's 99 cents a month.
Wow.
Anyone can do that. So go to anchor.fm/Tig Show, and you'll see the link there. But I haven't uploaded a podcast since I set up that service, so I don't know exactly how that's going to work. So if our millions of listeners wait a week to do that, I'm fine with that. But yeah, and then go to tigshow.com for anything else you need, how to become a Patreon subscriber, tigshow.com/merch to get t-shirts, all kinds of good shit at tigshow.com. All right, Scott, what are you drinking today, my friend?
Oh, hold on. Let me get to my notes. There we go.
Camera's off.
Oh, fuck balls. Back?
Yes. There you go.
All right, fine. I won't use my notes.
You can't look at two screens.
I can't navigate away from this app.
Jesus Christ. Your fucking device is
Apple.
Terrible.
I've got an old Ellsworth Brewing Company CN. I have to put it in front of me because of my background.
Right. CN.
And I've got the matching glass.
Ooh.
It's just got the flag. It's not the,
okay. Did you go to the old Ellsworth Brewing Company by your house to get that?
I didn't. No, I got this at my Total Wine.
Okay. Have you ever had it before? Have you ever had any of their stuff?
I have not.
Before?
I've never been to Old Ellsworth, nor have I had any of their offerings.
Yeah, it's literally the closest brewery to your house, right?
No.
Oh.
12 West is probably closer.
Okay.
But I don't really count them as a brewery.
Yeah, no one cares.
All right. What did I got? I'm looking at Untapped, though, because I made some notesies.
Nice.
It is a 5.5%, 37 IBUs. It says it's a Arizona Steam Ale is what the can says. Fuck it. I don't know what a steam ale is, but their description says we fermented this lager like an ale to push forward the amazing flavors of Arizona grown grain. We then lagered CN for an additional 5 weeks to make this beer super enjoyable and easily enjoyed. Both of those things.
Right. Well, I guess you'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I had to scroll a ways to find anybody that said anything about this.
Yeah, not a lot of comments on Untapped.
And there's no entries for it on Beer Advocate. But Ryan says,
That's not me. Unless it was me. No, because mine would say TIG_show. Yeah, so speaking of Untapped, you can get on there. You can become our friend on Untapped at TIG_show. I say our friend, but it's our account, but I'm the only one that posts to it. But
yeah, I don't know what a steam ale is. I'm going to have to Google that.
Yeah, that sounds like more work than I'm ready to devolve into.
Devolve?
Yeah.
Work is devolving.
Yeah. This podcast is devolving. Okay. I am drinking a beer that was hand-delivered and brought back from Texas. So it probably has COVID on the can. Real Ale Brewing Company's Devil's Backbone Belgian-style triple. Or tripel, however.
L.
I'm not a hoity-toity. I'm like, I'm blue collar guy, so I'm going to say triple. 8.1%. Again, my brother brought this back from Texas. Excited to try it. I did also go on Untapped, and it's got a 3.7 out of 5, not the best score. And Nick's S says, not my scene at all. So I don't know. You'd have to know what kind of scene Nick's S is into.
It's true. We have no context.
That's right. I mean, his scene could be, I don't know, licorice flavored beers, and this just doesn't fit in that scene. I don't even know what scene I'm in. You know.
I like the brickwork though behind you.
Oh, thanks. I had nothing to do with that. I appreciate that though. Yeah, because I am watching a football game, I had to adjust my seating arrangement today. All right, so that's what we're drinking. You got a 5.5. I got an 8.1. Ooh, see, the problem with Belgians, or Belgian, as someone I once knew said, it's gonna be like sour and kind of that taste I don't like, that bologna juice taste that I'm not a big fan of.
It's going to be very weedy.
We'll see. We'll see. I do have a natty light as a backup if worst comes to worst. Worst comes to worst? Is it worst comes to worst? Or is it worst comes to worse?
Something's going on with the internet. I don't know if it's you or me.
I don't think it was me.
Disappeared on me.
Oh, you locked up on me. Excellent. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. All right.
Here we go.
World famous TikTok segment. I have nothing to add to this. I thought I wrote something in here, but it's not in there. But it also does. Oh, yeah, it's there. But it doesn't matter. I haven't done anything exciting except the wife and I, in an effort to get away from murder shows and watch something that's just super digestible and I can just be on my phone and not have to pause it every time I leave the room. We've started a chronological rewatch of Friends on HBO Max. And I'll say it holds up for what I need it to do, which is almost nothing. But I remember in my early 20s or late teens, like I would go to my buddy's house and like we would watch Thursday must see TV Thursday nights and get drunk and watch like this and like not Desperately Seeking Susan. That's a different movie. But
Suddenly
like
Susan.
Suddenly Susan, Boston Common, Single Guy, this, like we watched them all. And then usually when ER came on, we'd go out and play drunk tennis or something. But I thought it was great in the early 90s, but maybe it's because I always had a fantasy of like living like that. Like I think I've like, talked about this like with New Girl. Like living in a loft somewhere with your best friends just sounds like heaven to me when you're in your mid 20s. Now it would suck because they have kids running around everywhere. You know?
Yeah, I do remember watching Friends, and I'm sure I thought it was funny. I don't remember the later seasons, like with X-Files. I just lost interest at some point, or outgrew it or something.
Well, I mean, when Friends started, you would have been in maybe elementary school still, so that makes sense that you wouldn't have.
Friends started in what, 90? 91?
94.
94, yikes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I was 18 or so. You were probably, you're 12-ish.
13.
Yeah, something like that. Just learning your locker combo at the new middle school and just wondering if you're wearing all the cool fashions.
Trying to hide my braces from everybody.
Right. Their Alonzo Mourning jersey. But yeah, that's all I've really. And then we watched Quiet Place 2. So if you're a fan of A Quiet Place, you can get more of that in A Quiet Place Part 2.
It happened again?
It still happened. It does do that thing that I like where it picks up immediately after the last movie ended. If you're going to make it a sequel, don't be a bitch and make it a real sequel. You know, like Halloween 2 or something. It's got to start.
I still haven't seen
the second.
The first one.
Oh, they're both good. I only got them because Friday night I had a little buzz on and I had to get Peacock to watch Everton game. So I had to re-up my Peacock subscription. But in my limited mental capacity, I re-upped my Paramount Plus subscription and then was pissed that I couldn't find the game. And I realized, well, why I have a week trial to Paramount Plus, we might as well watch Quiet Place. But they're both on Paramount Plus.
Too many things.
Yes, I know. It sucks. But I do like those movies. I like A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2. They're fun for what they are. Scaled down movie making, it's fun. Everyone should give it a shot. But that's it for me. I recommend A Quiet Place 2. I don't recommend Friends unless you're just like me and you just need something that's not fucking, Dead for the Holidays or like Kill Sisters or whatever the fuck other bullshit shows 40-year-old women watch. If you want to avoid that shit, Friends is good for it's easy to digest. And it is funny. There's like gay jokes and shit in there that nowadays it's so like jarring. Yeah. It's so jarring, but back then it was just like everyone was laughing at him.
Yeah. As I was watching Party Down, there was some questionable stuff, and I was thinking, when was this made?
Yeah,
it was like 2009.
Yeah, right on the edge of they should have known better, but it's also supposed to be like a raunchy comedy, so I don't know how we need to have well, I don't know if we need maybe we should have someone on here of a certain lifestyle, and they could tell us whether it's offensive. Maybe they think it's funny, like if they were making short fat guy jokes, I wouldn't be offended. I would probably chuckle. I'd be like, oh yeah, I can't reach the top shelf. That happens.
Right. I was hanging my 10-year-old's pride flag up on their wall the other day because they couldn't reach.
Yeah.
And I was asking them, is this straight? And then I thought, oh, well, that's not the point, is it?
It's not the point. But also, they shouldn't need a straight man's help for anything. So they should have figured out how to put that flag up for themselves.
Dad can always help.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was at my parents' house a couple of weeks ago with my brother, I must have asked him like 5 times over the course of 2 days, like, hey, man, can you get that? Like, can you grab that? Or like we were painting a mural and I'm like, I can't reach that shit. You got to do it, So if there was like, I'm fine with short jokes. I've been short my whole life. I'm used to them. But yeah, I don't know. It's not as offensive as like I was watching True Romance recently and I was cringing at some of the content in True Romance, my favorite movie of all time. I wasn't cringing at the gay jokes and stuff. It's in fun. It's I don't know. Maybe if I was gay, I wouldn't think it was in fun. Maybe we should stop talking about this. But you did finish Party Down. I have not finished it yet. I think I have like 3 or 4 episodes left. It's only 2 seasons. It's only like 20 episodes.
Yeah, it's 20 episodes. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah. She's not as cute, if we're going to be offensive here. Lizzie Kaplan with her bangs in season 2 is not as attractive as Lizzie Kaplan with no bangs in season 1. She looks like she prison cut her bangs for season 2. Like, you know what I mean? Like they look rough. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But hey, I'm not a guy. I don't like bangs. What are you going to do? Okay. Why don't you keep moving forward? Because I'm literally out of TikTok.
Sure. So since I finished Party Down, I had seen an ad for this at every fucking ad break during the show. So I started MODOK, which is weird that it's a Hulu show, Marvel show. Whatever. I'm 2 episodes in. I started it the other night, watched 2 episodes, didn't watch any more of it last night. I usually give a show 3 to get me going, but I don't know if I'll continue. It wasn't doing it for me. I'm not familiar with all the Robot Chicken, like Adult Swim stuff.
Right.
I've seen the commercials and it feels exactly like all of the commercials, and the commercials do nothing for me.
Yeah, I remember a couple of months ago I saw they released like a 6-minute snippet from the pilot of MODOK, and I remember watching it and thinking it's actually funnier than I thought it was going to be. Like I actually thought it was kind of funny, but it's one of those things that like if it's not front of mind, I'm never going to remember to seek it out. And again, if I tell my wife I'm going to put on MODOK and then she sees 1 second of it, I'm watching it on my phone or I'm watching it on my tablet.
I feel like it's got different layers of gimmick, like the idea of MODOK living this suburban life is gimmick. The claymation style of animation is gimmicky. It's too much. If they were like 5-minute shorts on the end of like WandaVision,
right?
Maybe it would be something, but like 28 minutes at a time is too much.
Yeah, I feel like it does need to be like at the end of like Falcon and the Winter Soldier or something, have a nice 5-minute epi. I haven't watched a drop of it. You have the Spider-Man trailer. I was talking to Gonzo this morning and I said I'm not watching it because I want it to be as weird as it can be, and I don't want to watch any weird spoilers, although people won't shut the fuck up about it, so I pretty much know I just haven't visually seen anything, but I have an idea of what happens.
Yeah, my 13-year-old came running out of his bedroom last night, yelling for everybody to come into the room and sit down because we got to watch the trailer.
Yeah, go hang out in his pubescent pigsty and watch the trailer to Spider-Man Homeward Bound, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think that was it. Home Alone.
Oh, it should be Homeward Bound. It should be him trying to get a dog home, and just the adventures that happens along the way.
Yeah, he falls off a spaceship or whatever in like middle America. Then he's got to adventure his way home.
Yeah, like a less shitty Iron Man 3, because there's a puppy in it.
Right.
No, what did you think about it, though? Again, like I said, I haven't seen any of it.
The trailers don't do anything for me.
Right.
So, I don't want to talk about it too much because you seem very fingers in your ears, la la la, sort of. Don't tell me shit.
Well, it's one of the only upcoming Marvel movies I want to see, so I might as well keep the facade and keep the idea of it in my mind rather than let it be ruined by a trailer. I did see photos, and as much as I like it when comic artists make the blue part black on Spidey's costume, I didn't like it in the photos I saw from the trailer. He has a black and red Spidey suit, and I didn't love it.
Yeah, there seems like a lot going on, and it feels like it could be very easily muddled. I think with his identity outed, it would have been a great time for Craven. But whatever, I don't know. They know what they're doing. Look, they built up enough trust at this point,
right,
to at least get me to purchase it or go to the theater or whatever. Marvel movies are consistently average to good. I don't think there have been any true stinkers.
No, you'll have fun no matter what. But yeah, I decided, and maybe it's a trend I want to continue, but if it's a movie I think I want to see, I think I'm not going to watch trailers anymore. Like I used to watch all the trailers, but I think I'm done with that. I think I'm going to try to be the guy who doesn't watch any trailers.
Yeah, whatever.
Go in with no expectations, man.
Totally.
Word up. But yeah, people seem to be loving it. It'd be cool if there was a live action Spider-Ham, like a trained pig that's just wearing like a spider suit. Yeah, but still is voiced by John Mulaney. Like what were those movies with talking dogs and shit? Like one of those. Like Look Who's Talking Now. Which is I think the benchmark for talking dog movies is Look Who's Talking Now.
That's all I watch is talking animal stuff.
Right. All right. And then lastly, you have a podcast recommendation now that you're
Oh yeah, I went looking for places to find good F1 and Premier League content. I haven't found a Premier League podcast yet, so maybe you have a rec.
Well,
but I really like the WTF1 podcast. I don't know the host names. There were 3 of them on the episode that I listened to, but they all their chemistry was pretty good and they seem knowledgeable. So
all right. I
dig the accents.
I like the WTF1 name as well. Yeah, I listened to Beyond the Grid, which is an official F1 podcast. So I listen to Beyond the Grid, and then I also have Grid Talk, but I don't remember listening to that anytime soon. But those are the F1 podcasts I have. I don't listen to a Premier League podcast, but I do sometimes listen to what's it called? The Two Robbies, which is I can't think of their last names, but it's a Premier League podcast essentially. They talk all about world football, but it's mostly Premier League. The Two Robbies is good. Men in Sweaters is great, or Men in Blazers. Sorry, Men in Blazers is great. But the only podcasts I listen to on the reg are the Royal Blue podcast, which is for Everton. It's part of the Liverpool Echo newspaper company. They have a podcast. And then I listen to American Toffees. So you might be interested in seeking out like an American Arsenal podcast, because then they approach it a little differently. I find the American Toffee podcast to be geared more towards, well, obviously more towards fans in the States, but they don't expect you to know the 100 and whatever year history of your team. Really, they talk more about current day. Where sometimes the Royal Blue podcast will make references to players from like the 60s or 70s that I just haven't invested time into tracking down. But those are my two Everton pods. But yeah, cool. Interesting. The F1 one. I'll have to check that out. Because when you listen to the F1 official podcast, you're going to they're not going to be critical of anybody.
Right. Yeah. It's why you can't go to like MLB or NFL Network for real stuff, because they're all in the take.
Right. Exactly. One thing you should do, especially since you tend to watch your telly on YouTube, or you tend to watch YouTube on your telly, Tomo F1 is like a British guy who's a graphic designer who does a great F1 podcast, but it's video based. So he'll do like before the season starts, he'll break down all 10 of the liveries and how cool they look and where they fucked up in the design part of it. Nice. And then he'll tweak it. Like he has a program where he can make his own liveries and he'll tweak it. And he's usually better than the teams are as far as the looks. But then he'll also like do shows like beginning of the season, he'll rank his drivers, and then middle of the season, he'll revisit that. End of the season, he'll revisit that. Really great content, really a great host. And again, for all these podcasts we're mentioning, for the most part, you just get those sweet, sweet accents that just make it, they could talk about anything and it would sound more interesting than whatever else you listen to that day.
Yeah, just about everything I consume right now has one of the various European accents involved or an Australian accent.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to find a version of like LeVar Burton reads or something. That's like a British lady just reading to me as I go to bed. Or Welsh or Scottish or Irish. Doesn't really matter.
I find some of the turns of phrase coming out of my mouth occasionally. So that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, like every time my brother mentions a soccer game, I'm like, oh, you mean the match? And they'll be like, oh, I don't like their uniforms. I'm like, you mean their kits?
Yeah, it's like that dog barking is doing my head in.
Yeah. Yeah. British people spell tires with a Y. So now I'm like, why are we idiots?
Yeah, I'm not going to put U's in words, but
right.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Is that it for our TikTok segment?
I think so.
I am dripping sweat. My AC is not great in this place.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But if I run my fan, that's all you'll hear. All right. Today's topic is, I'm just trying to apologize for people that have to look at what's happening on the screen. Speaking of what's happening, 18 and a half minutes in, we're still scoreless. Huddersfield Town against Everton. Carabao Cup. Carabao? Yeah. It's an energy drink, so they are the sponsor, so it's the Carabao Cup. But really, it's the English Football League Cup, EFL Cup. Anyways, today's topic, Scott, favorite non-Marvel / DC comic book movie. Favorite non-Big Two comic book movie. And I like our notes here are just everything we could see online and we typed in here. I assume you... I researched this as well because my memory is shit.
I knew I was going to forget some stuff.
Yeah, but you just listed the fuck out of some shit here. And you don't have your notes unless we just want to see the word Violet on our screen. You don't have the notes. So I don't know how you want to do this. Do we want to just... do you know what you want to talk about?
I don't know. What notes? I mean, I don't know. What do we need notes for?
I wrote, are we just going to list every whatever?
No, we're just going to talk about them.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Why don't you go first?
Sure. Like, what's the first one that comes to your brain? What's the first one when you went to make a list? Like, I know this one.
Well, the first one that came to my brain is my favorite non-Marvel DC superhero or comic book movie. It might be my top. It's definitely my top 5 of comic book films, and that's Kick-Ass.
Oh, wow.
So back in the day when I lived in the Valley, before I now live in the Valley, it used to be that Free Comic Book Day is always the first Saturday in May, and that's because comic book movies used to come out the first Friday of May. So that's why they made that day. That's why Free Comic Book Day is the first Saturday in May, because it followed like whatever big comic book release was, Iron Man, whatever. And I remember it was the first year or two that I was dating my now wife, and Atomic Comics, Mike Malvey used to always take us to like an evening premiere, like only friends and family of Atomic Comics and only guests of his free comic book day events. So we had like a theater to ourselves, and it was usually, I think it was before Thursday night releases were common, or or whatever. It was a Friday night release, whatever. I'm just talking now, or like whatever. Anyways, I saw Kick Ass with like just the Atomic Comics crew, other guests of Free Comic Book Day, and I brought Michelle, and she was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Oh, we'll go to dinner after. Let's just, I want to. I don't want to not accept the invitation. I was still trying to, buddy up with Malvy. I want to be part of that crew. I'm nothing if not a joiner. So I wanted to be part of the Free Comic Book Day Atomic Comics guys. I wanted to be a guy for those dudes. So there's maybe like 30 of us in there, and we watched it, and my wife and I cracked the fuck up. Like I couldn't believe how much I liked it. And I've still never read a Kick-Ass comic or a Hit Girl comic, but we love the movie so much. I thought it was fucking insane. It was the most insane shit I've ever seen. Like the scene towards the end when Hit Girl comes out of the elevator, Bad Reputation plays, and she just starts fucking people up, and she's like a 12-year-old girl who looks 10, just murking people. Ear to ear, I think is how you would describe my smile in that moment. And I've rewatched
to give it a rewatch. I don't remember a lot about it.
I've rewatched it several times. I had it on what the kids refer to as Blu-ray, so I have seen it several times since. It's great. It holds up. It's spectacular. Solid Nick Cage in it. It's just great.
Mustachioed Nick Cage.
Yeah, an overacting Mark Strong is what you want out of a Mark Strong. So yeah, it's good. Sinestro for you dorks.
Yeah, and what's his name? The bad guy from Shazam. God damn it.
The Doctor Savannah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a little miscast.
He's every MC or DCEU villain.
Right. Wasn't Sylvana supposed to be like a little short guy with like a dork and shit, and they just cast him as like Mark Strong, handsome Mark Strong?
No, I don't think so. I think you're thinking of the Mind guy.
Oh, that's right. I am Mr. Mind.
Mr. Mind.
Right.
No, Mr. Mind is the worm, right?
Oh, right. No, Sylvana is the bald guy with the big glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
I don't know. There's a Wonder Woman villain that's a short person that does like
I didn't
mesmerism or something.
I didn't mean a little person. I just meant like a short weakling is how he's portrayed in the comics. And then you get handsome Mark Strong, HMS, to portray him in the movie. What are you going to do? Yeah, wasn't he the bad guy in Kingsman too, which is another comic book movie?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I think I just saw him in Cruella.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't watch it. I did pay for it though.
Yeah, you did. More in more than one way. But yeah, you should definitely. Everyone listening to this, if you haven't seen Kick-Ass in the last several years, you should give it another shot. It holds up really well. It's great.
Yeah, I'll have to find it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Not as much a fan as Kick-Ass 2. I only saw that once and didn't love it. So maybe I need to revisit.
I think maybe it's on Prime, but we'll have to see.
Oh, well, homework then.
Whatevs.
Okay, I think we all know the answer to this, but what comes first to your head when you think of
the first thing that popped in my head was Mystery Men.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
Yes. I remember I saw that movie in theaters. In the old United Artist by Metro Center. And yeah, even then I love that movie. It's just so, it's a time capsule.
Yeah.
Because even though it's this fictional city and it's supposed to be sort of just whatever, whenever, it's totally, it's a snapshot of 1998 or whenever it was made with Smash Mouth soundtrack and Janine Garofalo. Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is the
He's
quarterback for the Niners.
Yes.
She's
Right.
super cute in that movie.
Yeah, if you mix them together, you'd have you'll have the funniest quarterback on a terrible team.
Right.
I don't know if they're still terrible, but
Yeah, William H. Macy and
Ben Stiller.
You remember Hank Azaria when he was in things?
Yeah, I just watched him in an episode of Friends.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I still love Ben Stiller as Mr. Furious. That's just a great.
Yeah.
Captain Furious,
I do
Mr.
find
Furious.
Even now, 25 years later, quoting that movie to my kids. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
They should do a sequel now where he's now Dr. Furious because he's got his doctorate, but he still has the same anger issues.
Just junk it.
Yeah, it has it has everyone in that movie. It's great. I like it. That's a movie that holds up too. You could throw that on at any point and you're not going to be disappointed.
Greg Kinnear.
Yeah, Greg Kinnear. Who was the bad guy in that?
Was he coming off of As Good as It Gets?
No, this would have been. He was coming off like Talk Soup and shit. This was before he won an Oscar.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe not. What if it was like a contract he signed and then a month later he won an Oscar and he's like, shit.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But it was forward thinking. He had remember he had sponsorships on his uniform. Like he was sponsored by Shell Gas and Coca-Cola and shit. Yeah, I can't remember who the bad guy was in that. Someone though.
Casanova Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, but it was
Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey Rush. That's right. Prior to being the dead
Eddie
dude.
Izzard and the Disco Boys.
Yes. Prior to all of that, correct.
Good stuff.
2-0 in the span of 10 seconds. Oh, we were offsides. Doesn't count. Okay. Yeah, great movie. I thought you were going to go with the one we've talked about on this podcast multiple times. I thought you were going to go with Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, well, that is my favorite one. That's my number one.
Okay. But yeah, we have devoted entire episodes of this podcast to that show. I feel like we've also done this topic before as well, but who gives a shit?
I don't remember how we addressed this in an earlier episode, but it wasn't in this manner. So this is fine.
Right.
People are still getting their money's worth.
Oh, I bet. But yeah, I don't know how much we need to talk about Scott Pilgrim. It's another movie that you can just have on.
It's great.
One thing about it is I had forgotten how much I liked it until you were talking about it. And then I rewatched it and I was like, oh yeah, this holds up fantastically. And then I think I watch it twice in 1 week or something like that. Because you forget how many people are in it. It's just fantastic all the way around. And what a coup for a lot of these. Well, I guess not a coup because it was already a super successful comic. I guess technically Mystery Men, the guy who created Flaming Carrot, that's the biggest sort of indie comic that made it big on screen. But I don't know how much money that made, whereas Scott Pilgrim, I think, was a fairly big success.
I think it flopped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think the box office on Scott Pilgrim was very good at all. It probably broke even, but I don't think it. Yeah, it was not a world burner.
Even with the star power of Kieran Culkin?
Yeah, no, I do remember reading somewhere that it was a disappointing box office, which is a fucking shame.
Yeah, it is a shame.
Everybody should see that.
It's one of those movies where I think it found its legs on, on the aftermarket, I guess. Next on my list is something.
Can you do a thingy on that rail? It's called a grind, bro.
Oh yeah, Captain America was in it too. So going through my list, a lot of my favorite movies on this list, I never read the comics. And this one's a little bit of a cheat because it's based on a French comic that I would never read just because I don't speak French. Yeah. Snowpiercer, I always forget, is based on a graphic novel or whatever they call them, graphic albums in Europe.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's my favorite movie where the line "We ate the babies first" is uttered. Again, by Captain America. So it's just, if you want to see Cap talk about eating babies and their soft, tender flesh, Snowpiercer. Again, it's now a TV show.
Deal.
Yeah, it's now a TV show without him in it, but the movie just holds up. I watch the movie fairly often. It's fantastic. It's great. I love it.
I've never seen it. I think I started it at some point, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, dystopian sort of future sci-fi things. Like Sweet Tooth aren't really my bag.
Well, they're becoming less enjoyable now because it's becoming less and less fantasy and more reality. So these movies are kind of losing, they're kind of killing my buzz. Right. But yeah, Snowpiercer has Captain America, it has the dude from Old Boy, the Korean version of Old Boy, which is also based on a manga, or I guess a manhwa, I think they call them. And who else? Tilda Swinton is in it.
Yeah.
The Sean Bean is in it. Oh wait, no, he's in the TV version of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I forget who. Oh, Ed Harris.
Double cross somebody?
Yes, he does. But also in the movie version, listener and friend of the program, Ed Harris plays Mr. Not Wilson. Whatever, Mr. W. I can't think of the guy's name. I'm literally sober and I can't remember shit. As soon as we turn on the video and the recording devices, I can't remember anything. But I recommend if you haven't seen Snowpiercer and you don't like comic book movies, it's probably the least comic book movie of the comic book movies. I really enjoy it. So,
well, I will watch it then, just for you. 2 thumbs
way up. What else? What else are you thinking of? What's next that we're going to talk about?
I think, Mystery Men was the first that came to my mind. I think that was my second favorite, Scott Pilgrim being the first. And I think I listed the first Ninja Turtles movie is my third favorite one, or at least in my top 5. Like, that's a good movie. Like movie.
Does it hold up now?
It holds up.
Really?
Yeah. Put it on.
Ernie Reyes Jr. in a rubber suit holds up.
Voiced by Corey Feldman.
Well, I think that might have been 2 different turtles, but
no, it was Donatello.
Oh, so they had Ernie Reyes Jr. only for the stunts or only for the acting, and then Corey Feldman was the auteur that brought him to life.
Right.
Okay.
But then they had Ernie Reyes out of costume for an actual character in the second one.
Oh, okay. Junior, because Ernie Reyes would have been in his 50s. Right. Karate Master.
I got to get that right.
Ernie, if he was Brazilian, it'd be Ernie Reyes.
The Ernie Reyes Jr. fans are going to leap down our throats.
Right. And then the guy who played Casey Jones in that was in one of my favorite movies, Some Kind of Wonderful.
Elias Koteas.
Elias Koteas was in Some Kind of Wonderful.
And Judith Hogue, someone we never heard from again. Yeah.
Was she April? Judith Hogue?
She was April.
Was she a better April than what's her name? Brunette bombshell?
Paige Turco, I think. Right?
Yeah, I was thinking of the girl from Transformers, the new ones.
Oh, Megan Fox.
Yes. Yes. Well, neither of them.
Was she April? Yeah, I have not seen any of the new ones.
Oh, she was April in the
Michael Bay ones.
Yes, the Michael Bay ones.
Okay.
Yes, but I mean, none of them can compare to Paige Turco.
No.
Right.
No.
This is a Paige Turco Stan podcast. Paige Turco Stan sounds like a place you don't want to visit. Like they're probably in the middle of a civil war.
I've never been prouder of myself for knowing anything.
No, I rely on you. Otherwise, this whole podcast would just be called, that person that did that thing, that was in that thing, that hot chick that was in that thing with Shay, whatever. Not Wiggum. Not Shay Wiggum.
I think it's a great movie. Okay, maybe great's a bit too much. It's solid. I thought that the Jim Henson costumes are super cool. I think they're still super cool. You're never going to see anything like that again, which is a shame. That it's never going to be practical. It's always going to be CG. There's never going to be a bunch of like servos and gizmos on a dude's face.
Yeah.
I like the articulation of the lips that
rolls. It's like a rolling hill.
they're just approximating things.
Yeah. You never see the creases of the rubber in the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are 3 dudes standing off camera to get Michelangelo his face to say cowabunga.
Is that the one with the ninja rap in it, or is that the second movie?
That's 2.
Okay, and that does it.
Yeah, after that, they got cartoony, but yeah, that was not the first movie, even though I think the cartoon had premiered already, but the movie was more comic book inspired than cartoon. So I appreciated that.
Had that gritty realism that Eastman and Laird wanted.
Yeah, it was very dark.
So next time I watch it, maybe I'll change my TV to black and white, and I'll really enjoy it as it was meant to be enjoyed.
Right? Yeah, the Steve Barron cut.
Yeah. I don't know who the fuck Steve Barron is.
He's the director.
Oh, okay. Release the Barron cut.
Right.
That's right. Okay. Let's see. What's next on my list?
I think Shredder says something about giving Splinter a reach around.
Isn't Shredder played by the actor that was in Big Trouble in Little China? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Can't think of his name.
Which one?
Very intense Asian man that was in Mortal Kombat.
I don't know.
Was Shredder played by a white dude in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No.
Okay. Oh, so we could still watch it. We don't have to Me Too Ninja Turtles.
Right. I don't know if Splinter's voice was a white dude
doing a Japanese.
Yeah. Doing that thing.
Yeah. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it for us so we know?
Nope.
What it sounds like.
Nope. I'm not getting canceled today.
Okay. We'll move on to I think the last one that I have in 14-point bold font, and it's Sin City. So second time in 3 weeks Sin City comes up, but this is another comic book movie that my wife will seek out, and she'll be like, let's watch Sin City. She loves noir films. She really loves this film. And I just love how faithful Rodriguez was to the comic, obviously because Frank Miller was involved. I think he directed a segment. So, but at the time they did some mind-blowing shit in this movie. Yeah. That still holds up. None of it looks shitty. It still holds up. Might not be the best movie, like if you were just going for straight up just storytelling and sort of a moving story, but for what it was trying to do, it nailed 1,000%, and it landed everywhere, much more than the sequel.
Yeah, I do remember seeing it. I think I liked it. I probably saw it mostly because I was a fan of Robert Rodriguez. Like when Robert Rodriguez is good, he's really good.
Yes.
But there's a lot of subprime Robert Rodriguez movies.
Well, it's when he tries to, I guess they're not made for me. Like his kids' movies aren't made for me. But like, even a lot of people don't like Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I love that shit. Like that and Desperado are great. I love that. El Mariachi trilogy. I like them all. But I never had to watch the bullshit that he made for kids because my kids. I think I watched Shark Girl and Shark Boy and Lava Girl once. But
right, he discovered Taylor Lautner.
But I'm a big fan of a lot of like his first 3 movies, and I'm a big fan of this movie in particular.
Yeah, another one I'll have to give a rewatch to. I like Rodriguez, and I think I like most of the people involved in the movie itself. So,
yeah, Clive Owen, Mickey Rourke, Carla Googly Eyes,
Bruce Willis when he still cared about things.
Yeah, Bruce Willis, Jessica Alba.
Right.
Like I said, Carly Guglielmo.
Is this pre or post 300?
This would have been post 300.
Okay.
But it's much of the same technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's how Robert Rodriguez films most of his things now. He has a green screen studio in Austin, and I think he just films everything there.
That's what his Spy Kid movies look like.
Yeah. Oh,
I heard he
seen this.
makes those just to build the sets and things for the stuff that he really wants to do.
Yeah, he basically said like I make these movies for less than like 30 million. They make 100 million, and then I can do what I want on my next movie. Yeah, I have seen a Spy Kid.
What a system.
Yeah, what a just genius actually. But yeah, the sequel. I don't remember much about the sequel. It had Eva Green in it, so I do remember that. But
the first one was the one with Elijah Wood.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be the most faithful comic book adaptation, both in look and in story. And in, I mean, some of the dialogue is just straight out. It's like they took it straight out of the comics, so or graphic novels, whatever you dorks say.
Right. Yeah, it plays well. It's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, those are kind of the ones that I've already talked about were the ones that immediately jumped into my head. There is one that upon research I realized, I really like this movie, but
which one's that?
30 Days of Night.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah, it's a really good, again, and maybe the reason these are on there is that except for Sin City, I haven't read the comics. So maybe it's like, to me, it's just a movie. I don't go into it with expectations. So maybe that has something to do with how much I enjoy them. But 30 Days a Night was just fun. Got hot young Josh Hartnett, not Josh Barnett. Josh Barnett's an MMA fighter. Josh Hartnett is a heartthrob. Not that Josh Barnett, the War Master, is not attractive, but Josh Hartnett of Pearl Harbor fame, which was on today at the mechanic shop. I was watching a little bit of Pearl Harbor. Him and Affleck have on-screen chemistry like you wouldn't believe. But, yeah.
Like, is it Cruise and Kilmer level?
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, 30 Days a Night was much better than I thought it was going to be. I just watched it one night for like fun when I had cable or something, and it was just, I was surprised at how much I liked it. But it's a horror movie. You got to dig horror, gore, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And it's a great concept. Steve Knott, this is the brilliant concept for a vampire comic / movie.
Horror, for sure.
Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you go next?
Rocketeer probably makes my list of top 5.
Sure.
Just a super fun movie. I showed that to my kids a while back and they dug it. It's just solid. The design of everything is great. Who doesn't love Timothy Dalton? Billy Campbell, I think. Is that the lead?
Yeah.
I don't know if he went on to do anything else. He seems like a American movie leading man guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have been, if they made a Captain America movie in 1993, if they started the MCU back then, he could have been Steve Rogers.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to beat Jennifer Connelly in Rocketeer. It's Gal Gadot levels of distracting.
Yeah, so the other night, I'm going to go ahead and admit this. The other night, I messaged you guys because we were on, we were kind of Googling like, let's watch an 80s or 90s comedy, just nostalgia, and we don't have to think about it, and it's fun. And I was like, Gonzo and I were talking about Career Opportunities. Because randomly, the guy who directed Career Opportunities directed half of the episodes of Party Down. He also directed Fred Savage in the Wonder Years, and Fred Savage directed the other episodes of Party Down. So they're like a team, I guess. So that got me thinking, let's watch Career Opportunities, and sure enough, it's on Prime or something right now, and or HBO Max. I can't remember which one. And so we put it in, and I'm just sitting there watching it, and I texted 2 different friend groups that I'm watching Career Opportunities, and I'm not going to out anyone who texted me back, but the general consensus was, perfect. Perfect in that movie, perfect for that time, just perfect in general.
Unbelievable.
We're watching it, and my wife's like, I just don't get it. I don't get why every guy, she's like, I don't get why every guy your age is obsessed with this movie. And I'm like, wait, the roller skating scene is coming up.
Yeah, I meant to send you a GIF, but it didn't come out that way. But holy God.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think my message to you guys was good, oh, Lord fuck or something like that. Just like it just blows my mind. Uh, and before anyone, yeah, she was a full blown adult when she filmed this movie. But good God, they
Yeah,
don't.
this is an labyrinth.
Yes, that's right. Of which she was disgusting in Labyrinth. Like I was grossed out by her in Labyrinth. But yeah, they don't make them like that anymore. I'll just say that. You know, God, she doesn't make them like that anymore.
Right. I was gonna say.
Yes. Yeah. Wait, what were we talking about? Oh, Rocketeer. Yeah, fun movie.
Yeah, Rocketeer.
Fun movie that could be updated now and make it a little more. So the Rocketeer, my only dig on the Rocketeer on a rewatch is it's very kid friendly, almost to a fault. Like if you made that with like the Russo brothers, you don't have to make it as violent as some of the MCU movies, but like an update, like more action. Back then they didn't have the technology to really make it as dynamic as it could have been.
Yeah, I guess I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
It reminded me, I guess, a lot of Iron Man. It's like I wasn't. It was cool to see the Rocketeer flying around and shit, but I wasn't bored when the Rocketeer wasn't on screen.
Right. Yeah. Now that I think about it, aren't they developing a Rocketeer 3D animated show with a young girl? I
have no idea.
I think like a preteen girl gets the pack.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Maybe that's something that was going to happen and didn't, or maybe I can't quite remember.
I don't know. Whatevs.
Yeah. Great choice there. I'm going to talk about one more real quick. I got two more on my list.
Yeah.
Here's one. So Hellboy 2. I actually prefer Hellboy 2 out of all three Hellboy movies.
Huh.
It's more Mignola-ish. There's less explaining going on. It's just more weirdness. There's like fairies and elves and shit and like those metal monsters, the Golden Army. Yeah, I feel like the first one felt like it had to go slow and explain everything. And then Golden Army was like, okay, everybody knows this shit. Let's do it. Yeah, so I prefer Hellboy 2. But I guess the two Guillermo del Toro movies, I really like. I watched the newest Hellboy on a plane to Japan, and I couldn't even finish it. I think I turned it off after like 20 minutes. Speaking of, that's who you have on your video, that's one of the best panels of all time for anyone watching the video. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Hellboy movies?
I haven't seen 2. That's because I didn't like 1. I thought it was too much like another movie on this list. It was too Men in Blacky. I don't like I guess with the exception of Harry Potter, I don't like the secret world underneath the real world sort of premise.
I love that shit.
I don't dig it at all.
I love it.
So I didn't like that about Men in Black, and I thought that the first Hellboy movie was aping the same sort of premise, and it put me off immediately. I didn't want any part of it.
Did you watch Mullet Hellboy?
What?
The David Harbour Hellboy? Did you watch
the David Harbour one I have not seen.
Yeah. I literally don't remember anything about it other than I don't like it. But maybe I should give it another shot. I don't know.
I tried putting on Hellboy for the kids because my 10-year-old had kept seeing the DVD case and it had hell in the name. So they're like, oh, can we watch this? Can we watch this? So I put it on, and after like 15 minutes, they just left the room. They didn't care.
Right. Why not? Why would they? It is dated.
Yeah, and it just reminded me of how boring it was.
Yeah. As far as the movies that I've talked to have happened, or as far as the movies I've talked to so far, talked about, I got speech problems. This one seems dated. This seems very of its time, the first Hellboy. It seems very limited in budget, very limited in kind of, it's just very early 2000s.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a thing that translates very well. Like, the Hellboy is a comic book, And of all the things that have been adapted, I feel like it's the least adaptable and the most is sort of built with its medium in mind.
But also, you have very unforgiving fans. Everybody wants to see Captain America on the screen. Hellboy fans, you better have the right Hellboy. Like, you better have a Mignola Hellboy. Maybe it's because it's so defined in one visual sense that anything less than that is a disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. He does have a pickup truck bed for a bed, and I like that. That's cool. There were some parts I like about the Hellboy movies, but I do like Hellboy 2, Golden Army. It's fun. All right, why don't you, I'm going to step away from my desk for 10 seconds, but why don't you talk about your next movie?
Oh boy, my next movie. Looking through this list right now, I don't see, okay, maybe one. There's one that maybe I would talk about. It'd be The Crow.
Okay, I'll be back
The Crow.
10 seconds.
Yes.
Go ahead.
From
start without me.
What's his name? Who's the director?
Proyas?
Proyas.
The guy who made
Alex
Dark
Proyas.
City. Yes.
Dark City. Yes. Thank you. Who doesn't love the fucking Crow? I think I still have the what is it? The soundtrack, the CD lying around here somewhere. And everybody knows about the tragedy and all that shit. But just as a movie, though, like, I've never read a James O'Barr comic book in my life. I'm never going to. The Crow as a premise, I think, is very neat. It's got obviously it's got revenge movie built into it, but then you throw almost sort of supernatural horror zombie stuff on top of it. It's a nice genre bender. I think I saw the second one. I couldn't tell you who was in it.
Is that Eddie Furlong?
Oh boy, I don't think so. Not in the second one.
Oh,
I don't remember who it was. It doesn't fucking matter. The first one is just sort of a kick-ass revenge movie. Yeah, it's fine, and it's got a legit director, right?
Right. Well,
a visionary auteur director.
Well, I don't know if you mentioned this while I was going and grabbing a fresh Natty Light, but Dark City had Jennifer Connelly in it.
Yes.
It's Jennifer Connelly. Vincent Perez was in Crow, City of Angels.
Mm.
The guy who's in every big show
Vincent
now.
Perez.
Yeah, I mean, Vincent Perez books or movies. Oh, Mia Kirshner was in it. She's cute.
Mia Kirshner? I don't know who that is.
Iggy Pop was in it, so that indie cred. Gonzo loves it, I bet, because Iggy Pop's in it. Shout out, Jay. Yeah, I remember it was. I watched it when the summer I moved back to the States. We lived with my grandma for like a month, like visiting. Didn't live with her. We stayed with my grandma for like a month while we visited, and she drove me to go see The Crow, and dropped me off at the theater when I was like 18. Because I think that came out in '94. I could be wrong.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and I remember again. Kids these days are so spoiled; they will never understand that anything one level up from a piece of dog shit was a masterpiece for guys who wanted comic book movies, in the 90s. I read The Crow. Right. I own The Crow. It's on my bookshelf.
I think this was the same year as Judge Dredd.
Yeah, that's also on the list. One last Crow note for me. James O'Barr came by he's in the Southwest somewhere, Tucson, Albuquerque, somewhere. Texas, maybe. He came by my table at a show in Albuquerque one year, flipped through my portfolio, and told me how much he liked my work and how good my black and white artwork was.
Nice.
And I was like, thanks. Do you need an artist?
James O'Barr story.
Do you need an artist for the reboot of The Crow? You just let me know. We'll kickstart that shit. Yeah, I don't have much love. I mean, it was a fine movie I don't love it. I would skip past it if it showed up on my.
So I guess it was the first movie of its kind that I was really exposed to. So this is a sort of. It's not terrible content wise, or like terribly offensive content wise, right? So in 1994, I would have been 13. So it was like, it was one of those gateway movies into other things. You know, it's,
Yeah.
I'm sure the people who loved The Crow loved Fight Club and,
Yeah.
12 Monkeys. And
Angry white men.
uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would put that on my list. I mean, because just scrolling through this stuff, this shit's pretty thin.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff on here. We'll get to that. Let's get to that in a second. The stuff on here that people maybe smarter than us or more educated than us might like. There's a couple on here that are kind of art films, but the last one I highlighted for myself was Wanted, which again was a movie that was better than I would have thought, even though I never read the comic. And people, I guess people didn't like it because it's not much like the comic.
Not at all.
But my biggest thought of Wanted is it's why Villains was optioned, essentially. Villains was optioned the week after Wanted opened to like $50 million or something, because we had a comic that was villain based, villain fronted, and yeah, literally, I even think like our publisher's agent at the time was like, "Cross your fingers that Wanted does well," and then literally like 10 days later we had a contract, you know. So shout out to the movie Wanted for getting me paid for a couple of years. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. But yeah, there are movies on here that, like History of Violence, Road to Perdition. There are kind of, I guess I don't know how to phrase it because all the movies we talked about are good movies.
Yeah,
but these are movies.
They're not traditionally comic booky movies.
Yes, like you would never know. I mean, if you see Hellboy, you're going to assume that was based on something. But if you see Road to Perdition, I would bet 90% of the people who saw Road to Perdition, History of Violence, had no idea that they were based on comic books. And they're fine movies. They're just not something I'm going to rewatch multiple times, but there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot about either of them. The only thing I remember about Road to Perdition was thinking it was just interesting that Tom Hanks wasn't playing a Tom Hanks character. Yeah, that's all.
Also, his son in Road to Perdition is currently Superman in the TV show.
Oh,
yeah, Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah. Oh, how about that?
Hoechlin, however you pronounce it. And History of Violence has Viggo in it, so it's always going to be good. He had that great scene in Eastern Promises where he gets in a naked fight in a Russian bathhouse. Yeah, and then there's some art films on here like American Splendor and Art School Confidential and Ghost World.
I do own Ghost World.
Yeah, I've seen Ghost World. I've seen Art School Confidential. I think I've seen American Splendor. They're all fine movies. But we're not talking about, like, there's a difference. These are all really well-made movies that I'm fine seeing just once. And then there's movies like Kick-Ass where, like, you know, Kick-Ass is a movie. Ghost World is a film. You know, I can rewatch movies. I can rewatch movies nonstop.
Gotcha.
You know, I'm not going to put on Ghost World for a fun Saturday afternoon, but I am going to put on fucking, you know, Scott Pilgrim or Sin City for Saturday afternoon fun fest. You know what I'm saying? Tank Girl. Everyone forgets about Tank Girl. I remember I saw it. Tank Girl was a big moment in my life. First of all, I saw it and I dug it. It was also the summer of '94, I think, maybe the fall of '94.
What a year!
And I dug it. You know, I was into it. I never read
it's like '86 all over again.
Yeah, it was. It was the '86 of '94 is what it was. But like I never read a Tank Girl comic. I knew it was based on a comic, but I just remember it was fun. It was like obnoxious. It was just fun or whatever. But when I was told I had to move to Arizona because my parents were kicking me out of my house, I was 19 and I went to Zia Records on a weekend trip, and I bought the Tank Girl soundtrack, and they gave me a pair of boxers with hearts on it, and it was a giveaway with the soundtrack. And so as soon as the guy handed me a pair of underwear, this guy Dave Parker, who rest in peace, Dave Parker, handed me I bought the CD. He handed me the CD back with a pair of heart boxers, and then I said, "How do I get a job here?" And he said, "Bring in a resume." And some guy in the back was like, "Yeah, the weirder, the better, man." And some guy showed me like somebody brought in a resume on like a roll of toilet paper or something. And I'm just like, and he looked at me and he's like, just bring in a resume. So I brought in a regular paper resume the next day, and I got hired like 2 days after that. So when I moved to Arizona, I had a job. But yeah, I wore those heart boxers for years. The comment, because it's old, it's like a joke, like the old heart boxer joke. It's like a joke, but I wore those motherfuckers for a long time. They're high quality underwear for a giveaway. That's my Tank Girl story. Yeah, I can't believe Ice-T was a kangaroo man in that movie. But yeah, so Tank Girl has some memories for me. The rest of the stuff, I don't know.
I haven't seen a good portion of this stuff. Barbed Wire. My mom took me to see that when I was again. I think that was 94. Maybe it was 95.
Oh my gosh. I think that was like 97, 98.
I don't know.
All right.
The Mask. Everybody knows The Mask.
Yeah, I don't love that movie the way a lot of people
Jim
do.
Carrey on the map.
Yeah, I don't. That movie doesn't do anything. But that might have been
it's
94.
Nothing like the books. I prefer the books.
The Mask might have been 94.
Spawn.
Yeah, Barbed Wire was 96.
96.
Yeah, Spawn, whatever.
The Spirit.
Ugh,
Frank Miller's directorial turn.
Yes.
I never saw it.
Dredd is much better than Judge Dredd.
Yes.
Yeah, much handsome.
Agreed.
Much more
Phantom. I went to see that opening weekend with my dad, and I got a souvenir Phantom ring. It's the coolest fucking thing I own. It's going to be an heirloom.
Yeah, I bet. Billy Zane. I just saw. What did I just see with? Wyatt Earp has Billy Zane in it.
Yes.
No, not Wyatt Earp. Tombstone.
Is
Tombstone.
Tombstone is
the Kurt Russell. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, but what's her name? She voiced Lois Lane on the cartoon.
Yeah, Dana Delaney.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, and sorry, one last Billy Zane note. Billy Zane's death is what turned Jason Priestley against the Cowboys, because Jason Priestley plays a young man who's hiding. They're hiding their sexuality.
Right.
It's a triggering moment for young Priestley.
Better listen to your friend Billy Zane. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, I don't remember From Hell at all.
I never saw it.
No, I actually was a fan, and I have it on DVD of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. People hated it. I thought it was fun. What are you going to do?
You know what I really like is the practical Mr. Jekyll costume.
Yeah, that actually worked out pretty well.
It looks really cool.
Yeah. It's just fun. I mean, it's a fun movie. You get fucking Sean Connery. I think that's Sean Connery's last movie.
Wow.
What a way to go out. Alan Quartermain. But yeah, people hate on that movie. It was fun. That was another movie that came out in like 97, 98. What the fuck do you want?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was good, but it doesn't deserve the hate.
No, it's fine.
We talked about 300.
Yeah, classic. Most people don't know.
Do you remember that this was a thing? This was a movie? R.I.P.D. I had never heard of the comic, and I barely heard of the movie.
I only know it was a thing because I think somebody, I don't want to use the term friend because I don't know if we're friends, but like an associate, like somebody that was in indie comics in the late or in the like early 2000s, I think created it. So it was like a contemporary made good, and his book got picked up and all that shit. But I never saw it. No. But isn't it like Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds?
Yes.
You would think a movie like that would have some sort of cult status or something.
Apparently it's that bad.
Yeah, apparently. We already talked about Tank Girl. 1010 was fun, but I'm not a 1010 fan, so I really don't
Never saw it. American Splendor, again, never saw Art School Confidential or Bloodshot.
Didn't we do an episode where we predicted the Bloodshot movie and then neither one of us saw it? But
no,
I
don't think we did that.
I thought we did, where we talked about what we would do with a Bloodshot movie.
No,
but
I don't know what the concept of Bloodshot is.
He has nanites in his body that makes him like bionic, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Cowboys and Aliens was a comic. That was a Jon Favreau movie.
It was
Harrison Ford and Daniel Craig.
Yes. Yeah, that was one of the first. Was it Legendary? Yeah, Legendary essentially was created as a comic book imprint and a movie studio, I think, for this film. That could be wrong.
Faust was a Spawn ripoff.
They made a
Maybe
Faust
it predated
movie.
Spawn.
Yeah, predated Spawn. Faust is from like the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
I didn't know they made a Faust movie.
Yes. They featured it on my favorite YouTube show, Best of the Worst, and it looks like the most bonkers thing that's ever been put to
I
film.
mean, the comic, I have a friend from high school that's one of his favorite comics, and it's also just basically just horror and tits, I think is what Faust is.
It has a specific audience, and I don't want to talk to anybody in that audience.
No, but if you're a fan of Jim Ballant, you probably love Faust.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Deep cut.
Next on the list is I Kill Giants, which ironically I haven't seen yet, but I did buy the graphic novel to be part of the Cab Comics book club this weekend. So I do have to read this fucking thing in the next 2 days.
I know that is currently on some streaming service I have, because I have skipped over it a couple times, meaning to watch it.
I love I think the movie, from the trailer and everything, looked great. I just never saw it for whatever. Like, I remember liking the trailer, and then when it came out, I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
So,
Kingsman, I never saw either of them.
Kingsman's great. It's fun. It's super
Red.
fun.
Who did?
Is
that McCulley?
Cully Hamner and Warren Ellis.
Warren Ellis. Time Cop apparently is a movie, the Jean-Claude Van Damme vehicle from maybe also 1994.
That sounds about right.
Wow.
Yeah. Exciting shit. I don't remember anything about
it. Extraction from last year.
Based on
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, based on La Ciudad from Andy Parks and the Russo brothers. Yeah, so this is kind of a cheat. I mean, it was a concept by the Russo brothers that was a comic before it was a movie, but it was created essentially, I think, to be a movie. But yeah, Andy Parks, shout out to him.
It might be the most solid recent action movie I've seen.
Yeah, it's great. There's a scene where a dude runs at him and he kicks the guy, and then the guy goes halfway through a hole in the wall, so his head bounces off and it makes his body flip. Great. It's right up there with like the John Wick shit, but it's more like brute strength John Wick, where he's just throwing people through shit. Yeah, I really enjoyed Extraction. Yeah, it was good. Another Netflix movie on here, The Old Guard. It was fine.
I got halfway through it.
It was good. It's fine.
Yeah,
I think a sequel would be better, because a sequel you don't have to explain everything and lean so much into the concept of it, and you can just tell a story.
Yeah, I don't know. The group of gun-toting mercenaries, I think I'm over. It seems like every I don't know. Now when I think of that sort of a movie trope, I think of Army of the Dead, or I think of the first Resident Evil movie. There's just so much garbage. We're so far off from Predator that it's eaten itself, and it's just this stupid. I don't like it, is what I'm saying. I didn't finish the movie because I thought it was boring and contrived, and well, I'm not going to finish it.
Next on the list of a movie that was more boring than it should have been is V for Vendetta. I remember watching it and thinking it was good, but it also, I was like, man, this fucking thing drags. You know, I don't know what I was expecting. Again, I never read the comic, so I don't know what I was expecting.
Yeah, I am not familiar with the book. I've seen it once, maybe. I thought it was probably okay.
Yeah.
As long as you're getting voice acting from Hugo Weaving, it's going to be average. That's going to be its floor.
You mean Optimus Prime? Wasn't he Optimus Prime?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, wait. I thought he was in one of the Transformers movies. Maybe not.
Maybe. He wasn't Optimus Prime. Isn't it the same voice actor from the cartoons?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's Peter Cushing. Sorry.
It's not Peter Cushing.
Isn't that the voice actor for Optimus Prime?
No, that's Tarkin is Peter Cushing.
Oh, sorry, Grand Moff Tarkin. Sorry. All right, last on this list. It's not really a list because we're just now reading things we found on the internet. But yes, you always forget that Akira was based on a manga.
Yeah.
This is still the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. Not that I ingest a lot of anime, but this movie holds up, and it still has levels to it that I don't quite get. Like, I think I'm too dumb to totally understand what's going on in this movie, but I'm a huge fan of giant destruction of cities. So I do love this movie, even though I've never owned it and I've only seen it like twice.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the book, but I did watch it in my high school Japanese class. And that was the only time I'd seen it.
Konnichiwa, bitches.
And we probably had to watch it without subtitles.
Oh, so you just had to kind of figure out what the fuck was happening in Japanese 101? Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I just remember the craziness. And so that at least was fun to watch.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like
I'll have to revisit it, like a lot of things on this list.
Like sometimes when I watch a movie and then I find out how they made a shot or did a shot or something like that, I'm amazed that that level of technique exists and people are competent in it. Akira, as old as it is still one of those movies that I'm amazed at how well it's made, considering they didn't do computer animation and shit like that. Just like, it's astounding how well some people are at their craft. Because I will never be that good at anything. Like sometimes you think like the Jamaican bobsled team, all you got to do is be Jamaican and you probably qualify for the bobsled team. You pick an obscure sport, and if you just practice it for like 4 years, you could be an Olympic athlete at it. If you're from Mozambique or something. But like this movie, I will never be good at anything the way these animators were good at making this movie. If that makes sense.
Something.
I can't think of what it is.
No.
Sweating. If there was a sweating competition,
everybody's in the top 1% of something.
Well, I'm not. I'm in a weight for height, like girth to height. I'm in the top 1%. Practically bouncing boy at this point. Yeah. Okay. So let's wrap this up with a question. So if you're not getting a superhero, let's say a property you're well known for, or a property that is well known, what are you looking for in your movie, in your adaptation? So if it's something you've never read and something you don't know, is your first thought as a comic creator, I hope that they're loyal to the material, and I hope that fans of this get what they want? Or are you like, I just want a good movie, I don't give a shit because I've never read the comic? You know what I'm saying? Like, where do you fall on that spectrum?
Okay, so if you're a fan of the book,
you want it to be loyal to the book.
Yeah, I guess tone wise, and like saying spirit, right, is sort of like it's such a loaded term and it's ambiguous. But like Hellboy is an example. I mean, you love Mike Mignola's Hellboy, and the movie is not that.
Right.
So I don't know. I like the Ninja Turtles. The first one was, I think, really sort of captured the tone and the spirit of the Mirage book. What else? I mean, I don't know. It feels like most of the things on this list, they land real wide of the target.
Yeah.
So I wonder what is it then that they're doing? Like they're not taking any of this stuff for brand awareness, because nobody knows what any of this shit is. So if you're going to do the mask, why don't you do the mask? How does it become the thing that it is? Why not just,
because I think,
make it totally something else, something entirely different, and save yourself the licensing fee?
I think before the MCU got as popular as it did, they felt like they had to change things because only dorks read comics, and only dorks, they got to make it appealing to Joe Schmo and fucking cheerleader Mary and shit. So they think they may have to make changes to make it fit something like that. Whereas I think once the MCU is rolling in and you got Rocket Raccoon and Groot as two of your biggest stars, now you can make it as close to that as possible.
Like I guess like Judge Dredd, right? I wonder how that comes to be. Does it end up in front of Sylvester Stallone at some point? Does one of the Alan Grant issues of
Oh, I'm sure it was just some producer optioned it, but then Stallone was probably like, "Oh, another franchise for me." Rambo's run its course, which apparently it hasn't. Rocky kind of ran its course, which apparently it hadn't.
I don't know how you go from that book to having the movie with Rob Schneider as comic relief.
But which came out first, Demolition Man or Judge Dredd? Because I feel like
Demolition Man, I want to say.
I feel like Demolition Man might have been a hit, and they're like, "Oh, this is the same shit, but it's built-in audience."
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah, I don't know, but then again, you have everyone loves Dredd, the Carl Urban Dredd, because it's more in line with the comic. So I feel like at some point they did sort of figure out that like, oh, there's a reason the comics are popular. We can kind of make the movie. Again, Sin City's a perfect example. I think Sin City was a huge hit when it came out.
Yeah. It went so far in the other direction from something like The Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if I've never heard of the property, I just want a good movie. But if I have any knowledge of the property, I would like to see a loyalty to that property in the film.
What kind of loyalty, though? Are you wanting all of the characters? Are you wanting them not to cut stuff? Are you wanting them not to add stuff?
Yeah, I guess I don't know what I mean if I'm saying like, I at least want it to feel like the comic. Don't just change names just to change names. I don't care if you recast like gender, race, sex. I don't care about that. But I want it to have the same feel of the comic. If the comic is sci-fi and the comic is hard sci-fi, don't give me a fucking bullshit preteen. Don't give me Shark Boy and Lava Girl when I'm looking for, aliens or something like that. So yeah, I guess I don't quite know. I don't have, unless I know the creator personally, or if it's somebody I met, or if it's someone like Mike Mignola, you want them. That's the saddest part about the newest Hellboy movie is Mike really was pushing it. So whether he really believed in it or he just felt like he had to push it, that's fine. But it was not good, and it did not hold up. And I would like to see the creator rewarded, with something that's something worth their creation. I hate that fucking term. I hate what I sound like when I say that, but something worth what they created. But also, when Villains was optioned, I was happy it could have been a fucking G-rated Teletubbies, version of Villains, and I would have been thrilled just to get paid, but it's so common now. I mean, everything's a comic book movie now. So why not make them all as good as you can make them? I guess that's what's sad now. When you see a bad comic book movie now, we know that they can be done well. So
sure, but like we say, nobody sets out to make a bad comic or a bad film. So all the people working on these are trying to make the best thing that they can.
Right. Yeah, you would hope so. That said, let's option some shit. Let's get some movie money.
Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it, what I was watching, but the commercials for Why the Last Man
looks
are
good.
Out and about. Yeah, sure, whatever. I'll give it a shot.
Another comic I never read,
but I 15-year-old Vertigo book. Why is Saga not a thing anywhere yet?
It's got to be.
I'm sure it's
got to be Brian K. Vaughan, right,
somewhere.
Right, it's got to be the creators. It's got to be the creators, because at that point they would have had full control. So it's got to be something they're holding off on or something like that.
Give me an animated Saga movie that looks like What If.
There you go. Yeah. Maybe when we were thinking of show topic ideas, because that's pretty much all I do between now and next Tuesday. It's going to occupy my brain. We've never fan casted like Copperhead or anything. That could be fun. Or not.
I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. I guess if you have an interest in the IP, maybe you shouldn't do that. So maybe we should each pick a topic idea for a future show is we each pick a property we want to see in a movie and we'll fan cast that. It doesn't have to be your IP.
Okay.
Yeah. Not your IP, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Any final thoughts? I think we covered this entire list we just pulled off the internet.
No, we did it.
Yeah, we did the damn thing. Another one in the books. Everyone go watch Party Down. It's fun. It's a fun show. It's good. Whatever. And then definitely watch. So if you're going to recommend one movie on this list for someone who's never seen any of these movies, what would you recommend? I would say if you don't like comic books, watch Snowpiercer. If you love comic books, watch Kick-Ass or Sin City.
Okay. I guess I would recommend Scott Pilgrim because there's never a time when it's not appropriate.
Right.
It always brings a smile to my face. It never fails. I always feel better after I watch that movie.
It is a feel good. It's like a drug of a movie. It's a feel good movie. It's like taking a hit off your vape pen. Scott, how was your Old Ellsworth Brewing CN, which means 100?
It means 100.
Yeah. So. But you can only give it 5
out of 100.
Yes.
I don't know what a steam ale is, and after my CN, I don't know that I'll explore the steam ale genre any further. This was not great. It reminded me a lot of a Scotch ale or red ale, which I'm over. A 2, maybe, just because it's local.
Yeah.
But this was not my bag. It was not my scene, as
Nick's S.
As Nick's S would say.
Yeah. I'm going to go, I always feel like I love it when people bring me beers, especially a beer that traveled on an airplane. I love it. But again, not my scene. I don't love Belgian style tripels. Again, it is that. So I have found out that a farmhouse is a lighter version of this. So I can kind of handle farmhouse ales a little bit. Sours, maybe I should get more into sours because they're not what I thought they were. But this is exactly what I thought it was. Again, it tastes like someone poured out the Lunchables meat juice into a beer and tried to serve it to me. I will say it went down easier. Maybe it's the 8.1%. Halfway through, it started getting a little easier. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pass on this. I'm not going to smash it. I'm going to pass it. I'm also going to give this a 2.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, and I don't know how much I love the company name Real Ale Brewing. It just sounds like
it's like that brewery.
Yes, you didn't try too hard for your company name there. Real Ale Rab. At least be Real Ale Distributing, and then you'd be rad. And then the can art, they tried to steal like the Coop Devil Head.
Yeah.
It's like but again, thanks to my brother for bringing it to me, and feel free to bring me beers anytime. He always brings me beers. He bought me like shoes and shit. He always buys me shit, and my wife is like, "You never get him anything." It's like, true that, but that's my brand. I don't give anybody anything, so except an hour plus of content every week. So you're welcome, ladies. Yeah, I'm going to give mine a 2 as well. Scott, send us back in, and hopefully next week we continue the fun.
Yeah, be excellent to each other.
That's right. Go Gunners. Go
Gunners. Go
Toffees. That's right.